There are a handful of notable rule changes for the college football 2023-2024 season. One of these is the outlawing of consecutive timeouts. This rule will prevent one timeout from being called right after another, which often happens as teams try to ice kickers. If you don't know what icing the kicker is, it's when a kicker is about to attempt a field goal, and what the coaches will do is they'll call a timeout to make the kicker think about it, call another one, and attempt to make the kicker overthink the kick and miss it, which can potentially sway the outcome of a game that is no longer going to be allowed in consecutive timeouts. Only one timeout will be able to be called. The game clock will no longer be stopped after first downs unless there is less than 2 minutes left to play in a half. Carrying over a foul to the second or fourth quarter. Penalties at the end of the first and third quarters will carry over into the second and fourth quarters. These rule changes are aimed at shortening the games and reducing the number of plays per game. The Football Rules Committee anticipates the adjustments will modestly reduce the number of plays in the game, something it will closely study during the 2023 season. These football games can go on for a long time. The attempt is to condense these games. Now, a lot of people think, what's the rationale behind these rule changes? The rationale behind outlawing consecutive timeouts is to prevent coaches from using them to ice kickers and to shorten games by reducing the number of plays per contest. This rule change is aimed at improving the flow of the game and reducing the amount of downtime during the games. The College Football Rules Committee anticipates that this adjustment will modestly reduce the number of plays in a game, something it will study closely in the 2023 season. Overall, this rule change is intended to make college football games more exciting and engaging for fans by reducing the amount of downtime and commercials, as well as increasing the pace of play. Now, college football is not the only sport that is going to have new rules that increase the pace of the game. Some other sports that do as well is the NCAA basketball league. Teams are only allowed a limited number of timeouts per game, and consecutive timeouts are not allowed in NCAA basketball. The NFL, teams are allowed 3 timeouts per half, and consecutive timeouts are also not allowed. In the NBA, teams are allowed a limited number of timeouts per game, and consecutive timeouts are also not allowed. Major League Baseball, teams, same thing. Limited amount of timeouts. Consecutive timeouts are not allowed. And lastly, the NHL also has the same rule. Delaying a game is nothing new. Calling multiple timeouts was just a loophole to do it. Delay of game is a very common penalty in football. Running the clock after first downs. The NCAA has adopted a rule that will run the clock after the first downs, except for the last 2 minutes of each half. So previously in games, if you got a first down, the clock would have been stopped to move the chains. That will no longer be the case. While some people have welcomed the new rules, others have criticized them, arguing that it may disrupt the flow of the game. As for me personally, I have no problem with this. College football games are notoriously very long, and it happens to be a 3 to 4 hour commitment when I watch one. I love watching college football. I could watch multiple games all day long. This is going to help increase the football that is being watched and less commercials, which I get it. Commercials are the reason why we're able to watch a lot of these games for free or for a reduced price. But let's be honest. One of the reasons I prefer the NBA to college football is because a game is 1 to 2 hours, where college football can be 3 to 4. So it will be nice to see the game sped up a little bit. Now, if your team's trailing and the clock's running, you're not going to like these rules, but it's something that we're all going to have to get used to.